In this video, we're going to be talking about tips, dating tips that'll help you to find true love and avoid the things, common things that destroy true love, destroy happily ever after, destroy your chances of having a good long-term relationship that leads to love. There are so many potholes and pitfalls and things that people fall into and they don't want to because they want to find love, but instead they find heartbreak, instead they find pain, instead they find relationships based on fighting and in many cases abuse and other things. So we want to avoid all that, and these simple tips will help us to find true love more easily and to avoid those things that will keep us from finding that love that we desire. And so that's what we're going to be talking about right after this. Number one, not playing marriage before you're married. We all know people in our lives who we're friends with, we hang out with all of the time, and then all of a sudden they start dating someone and they disappear. They're not around anymore. Where did they go? I mean, you're hanging out with them one minute and then they don't answer your phone calls the next. They don't answer your texts. You can't get a hold of them. And they spend every waking moment with this person that they just start dating. They literally don't hardly know this person, and yet they're acting like they're married. They talk to them all the time, text them all the time. Everything is all about this one person. And so they fall away from you. They fall away from their friends. They fall away from everything they love just to be with this person, and seemingly only with this person. And so it's a telltale sign, an easy sign that a relationship should bring you closer to God. A healthy relationship brings you closer to God, closer to your friends, closer to your family. It keeps you doing those things that you love, and it doesn't allow you to become codependent on someone else. Whereas conversely, a false or a dangerous relationship that probably won't last and is going to explode somewhere down the line takes you away from God through sin. It takes you away from your friends. It takes you away from your family. It takes you away from those things that you love, your hobbies, your goals, your work, whatever you are invested in. If we're throwing all of these things that we love aside and we're not doing those things we love anymore, it is a sure sign that this is an unhealthy relationship, and it's a big red flag. And you don't want to go down that road. You want to keep doing those things you love because you are not this person's. You're not married to them. So what you want is a life of your own, but also time with this person who you want to get to know more. You still want to keep your hobbies, those things you love, your friends, your family. You want to keep your life, not throw it all away and flush it down the toilet just to be with this person. That is not true love. Passion flies down the road. True love waits and takes its time because it knows that it's going to be a flower that opens slowly and blossoms into something beautiful. But more on that later. Let's go to number two. Number two sign of an unhealthy relationship, or things that can really damage a relationship, is not being truthful. Now, obviously, people know that if you lie in a relationship, that's bad. That's unhealthy. Trust is the foundation of a loving relationship. And if someone's lying to you, that's nothing small. That's a deep character flaw, and you don't want to put up with anyone lying to you in a relationship. But sometimes we deceive people or deceive ourselves or are dishonest in ways that we don't realize. It's more like we're inadvertently doing it. For example, if you meet someone, and I've done this before, like when I was young and immature and I just wanted to get with someone and I didn't want to jeopardize anything in that relationship. I was in a relationship. I met this beautiful woman, let's say, and we're out at a bar and we're talking and we're hanging out and we're having the time of our life. Everything's going perfect. She's beautiful, and all of a sudden she drops the bomb. She says, I used to be religious, but I don't like religion anymore, and I especially hate the Catholic Church. And all of a sudden, inside, my insides are dying. Everything just fell because I love my Catholic faith and I love God. And this girl is probably not going to be compatible, but I'm loving the feelings she's giving me, and I don't want to give that up. So I just, oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, oh, I know, And I'm capitulating and saying things that I don't actually believe just because I'm afraid that I won't get a second date. And do I want to date someone like this anyways? Do I want to date someone I'm not going to be compatible with? And we do this so many times. And I see this often with women. A man will ask her out and say, hey, you want to go out to Italian food? And all of a sudden, her insides fall because she does not like Italian food. And she's like, yeah, that would be great. I love Italian. And she puts on a smile and she fakes it, and she just doesn't want to jeopardize anything or do anything to jeopardize that, relationship, or maybe the fact that he won't go out with her. So she capitulates and she just presents herself dishonestly. And we do that all across the board. Even in simple things like, if you're not ready to kiss yet, or if you want to wait to have sex until marriage, many times we compromise these things because we don't want a relationship to fail, and we're not honest, and we don't present ourselves honestly. We don't say what we mean, and we're not truthful about it. And so if you want a healthy relationship, we need to be truthful in all ways. Remember that if you're presenting something that's not true and you're continually, giving in and capitulating and not being honest in your relationship, then if a person falls in love with you, they're actually not falling in love with you. They're falling in love with someone that you're not, the false version of you, and that's going to blow up later down the line. So if you want a good, healthy relationship based on mutual trust and love, be honest from the beginning. Nobody's going to dump you if you say you don't like Italian food. A much more mature response would be, hey, I'm not a big fan of Italian, but I love Mexican or, American bar and grill. Are you up for one of those? And he'd be like, yeah, that's fine. No one's going to dump you because you don't like a certain food. They might dump you if you say, hey, I'd like to wait until marriage to have sex, but do you really want to be with that person anyways? No. Here's the bottom line. If you want a great marriage, stop being with people that aren't for you. As long as you're with someone that you're not supposed to be with, you can't be with the person that God has for you. This leads us to our third point, compromising in relationships, because we listen to the lies of the devil and we listen to the lies of our own self telling us that we have to go out with this person. This guy's not that bad. He doesn't, swear, he doesn't beat me, he doesn't cheat on me, he's pretty good overall. But the reality is we're lying to ourselves because we're afraid of being alone. We're compromising because we don't want to miss the chance of having this relationship, because then we might be lonely forever. This might be the only chance we get, and we have to get it. We have to grab it, snatch it, take it right now, because we're not going to have another chance. We might lose out on everything if we get rid of this relationship, even though the relationship's not good, even though it's not really healthy, even though I'm not super happy in it. It might be all I get. That is a lie. Just stop it. It's a lie. The devil wants to program in your mind that God does not love you. He does not have your good in mind. He does not want you to be happy. He doesn't want you to have a relationship, so you have to snatch it and take it and just get what you want, because you're not going to get what you really want, and that is true love and happiness. And that is the farthest thing from the truth. That is a lie. So many people compromise relationships because they're afraid of being alone, because they are afraid of just not having anyone or not finding anyone, and they end up paying for it later on in bad marriages, painful marriages, broken marriages, divorce with kids who knows where they go, and just baggage, all because you compromised a little at the beginning and it exploded later on. Do not compromise your relationships. If you want to find true love, wait for it. Compromise is not love. Compromise is compromise, and you're going to get a mediocre relationship at best. But if you want a true relationship that excels and someone loves you for you, and they're going to kiss your kids to bed someday, and they're going to love your children, and you can trust them with your heart. Remember, your heart is so fragile. Is the person that you're dating, and is the person that you want to kiss your kids to bed at night, are they trustworthy enough? Are they strong enough and solid enough of a person to be trustworthy with your heart? Can you trust giving them your heart, that when you give it to them, they're not going to drop it and it's not going to shatter all over the ground? You want someone who is going to hold your heart, protect it, serve it, and give you everything that you deserve. And you give them that in return. But you're never going to get that if you compromise in fear. Number 4, going too fast in a relationship will destroy the relationship. And in fact, this corresponds similar to number 1, but think about love for a second. And love, passion, just getting to know someone, feeling like you're on cloud 9. All of these feelings, emotions, passions, imagine they're like a car engine. driving a car and you're driving down the road, and the more you like someone and the more feelings you feel for them, the more you step on the gas. And man, you really like them, so you keep stepping on the gas. You're flooring it. And while, going fast might be exciting, it might be even exhilarating, you're having the time of your life blowing down the road with this person, you're much, much, much more likely to get into an accident, and it even might be fatal. So while it might have been fun for a little while and you might have felt good, it might blow up in the end and you might end up with nothing. And then that is the way it is with relationships. If you do not navigate relationships properly and you do not walk down the pathway to love, but you try to run over it, or you try to build a bridge over the lake of love, except there's no water in the lake, it's empty, and it is a bridge over empty water. That is what happens when we try to rush a relationship and we try to spend every waking moment with a person toward the beginning of a relationship, when we're supposed to be doing that later on. If you didn't know, as I've said earlier, the beginning of a relationship should just be getting to know the person more on a friendship level. Who are they? Are they someone you want to date? Because if you just go all in and all emotions and you give everything, you spend every waking amount of time together, and you're always texting each other, thinking about each other, even when you're not together, you're just thinking about them all the time, and you just lose the rest of your life. It's a recipe for absolute disaster, and that is 100% true. In fact, I know most people I know who have rushed relationships, and they did it in 3 months, 4 months, 6 months. They just tried to rush it, and they dumped everything else. They all ended up divorced, or they're almost divorced, or they're miserable in their marriage. And they've actually told me that they would not have married this person if they had taken it slow, or they didn't realize that this person had self-destructive qualities, or were abusive, very abusive, and they didn't see that in the person because they took it too fast. And they weren't thinking logically or rationally. They were just thinking emotionally with their feelings, which is a recipe for disaster. And I don't want anyone to end up like that, so I want you to go down the road of love. Don't rip open the flower, the rose. If you rip it open, it's not going to bloom, it's going to die if you try to go too fast. But if you wait and you take time and you water it and you nurture it and you take time away from it and let it grow, then it's going to grow into a beautiful flower. Emotions, feelings, all of that stuff, it's the first step of love on a long staircase. And they're good, but there's so much more that takes love to work, and it takes time. If you rush it, you will pay, because you're going to overlook qualities in that person that you shouldn't overlook. You're going to overlook things like abuse or them lying, or things that people have told me I didn't even know they had these because they didn't see them. You're going to miss character defects that you don't want to miss, and you're not going to really know the person. Remember, you can know everything about a person and still not know the person. Yeah, you can talk for hours and feel like you have everything in common, everything's perfect, you feel like you've known them forever. You can know everything about them without actually knowing them, and that's important. It takes time to get to know a person. It takes time to build a friendship. It takes time to build that strong foundation for marriage and love, which is going to hold you or not for the rest of your life. And if you don't take the time to do that, to form proper communication techniques, form proper communication habits, and really patterns of behavior in a relationship, and you see them in all seasons, it's not going to last, or it's not going to be healthy in most cases. I would recommend dating for a year as a general rule, because you get to see people in all seasons, whether they have seasonal depression, or how they act around family, or how they act around your family, or at Christmas time, or different holidays and seasons. And, who are they? Many of our things that we hide because they're really destructive come out later in marriage and in relationships. And if we don't take the time, it's going to explode. Shakespeare once said it's better to be well hung than ill wed, because if you compromise in your relationship, you're going to be miserable, and that is not what I want for you. And I see it all the time for people. So take your time. Build a friendship, get to know the person, then take time away, hang out with your friends, do your hobbies, hang out with them another day, maybe once or twice a week, in the beginning, talking to them maybe once or twice a week, certainly not every day, or else you will not get to know that person on a deep level. You will just bypass that step with emotions, and you'll think you know them, and you'll attribute to them virtues, and you'll attribute to them good qualities that they don't actually possess, and you'll miss the destructive red flags that you don't want to miss, all because you chose to go over the bridge that has no water in it because you didn't take your time. So take your time in a relationship. It's so important. The last thing I want to talk about is being pure in a relationship, being pure and leading that person to God. I mean, I once met a girl. I mean, I've known many people who have told me this, but, they tell me, oh, I just love my boyfriend. I just love my boyfriend, and vice versa, but we just can't stop having sex. We keep falling into sin. We keep falling into sin, but I love him and I just can't stop. I can't break up with him. And I said, that's not love. I said, that's emotion. That's feeling. I was like, if you truly love someone, you're going to lead them closer to God. You're going to love their heart. You're going to care for their soul. You're going to do what's best for them. And you are going to lead them as far away from hell as fast as possible. But if you keep leading them into sin, or they keep leading you into sin, and you keep leading each other into sin, and you keep leading each other closer to hell through sin, you're walking each other hand in hand to hell. Is it really love? Or might it be something else like passion, or puppy love, or lust, or something like that? Is it deep, true, mature love based on what's right and based on doing what's good for a person? In our last relationship, What is Love?, we talked about Pope John Paul and how he said the more responsibility you feel for somebody and for their soul, the more true love there is. The more responsibility you feel for their soul, the more true love there is. The more you care for them, their minds, their hearts, you want to protect them, serve them, do what's good for them, the more true love there is. But so maybe, we've struggled with this in the past. Maybe this is our addiction, or maybe this is our past weakness, and we need to work on it. But we need to talk about it together. We need to make steps where we're growing and learning and making progress together. I'm not saying you're going to be perfect if you've already struggled with this, but the bottom line is, I know people who have started having sex, and then, they said, okay, we're not going to have it anymore. We're going to wait until marriage. And they said their relationship blossomed 100-fold. They didn't even know each other before. They didn't have a real friendship. They just had sex and sexual relationships and Netflix and chill and things like that. But now they have a real friendship, and they have all these hobbies, and they do all this stuff together, and they're doing what's best for each other. And I'm going to interview them very soon, because it's such a powerful story of how they chose to love each other over what was easy, what felt good and what felt powerful and wonderful, and actually just destroyed the relationship instead of bonded them together. Now they say they feel closer than ever before because they're doing what's right, and they're forming a foundation that's going to lay for the rest of their marriage, because they're engaged now. Remember, great marriages don't just happen. They're made. They don't just happen. They're made. It starts with decisions we make. It starts with good and healthy decision making, communication, virtue, love, patience, all of that. All of these things take time, and they're fostered and cultivated over time, and they bloom into something that we call true love and happily ever after. Marriage is really, really hard. And if you don't have a firm foundation, you're going to end up like most people in this country, divorced within 5 years or miserable in your marriage. And I do not want that for you. Please consider these tips. Get a book called Boundaries in Dating by Dr. Townsend and Dr. Cloud. And they talk about the 9 pitfalls that people fall into that are going to hurt and destroy the relationship and will prevent them from finding true love. Or if you're up for a really powerful, deep read, check out Love and Responsibility by Pope John Paul II. It is a life-changing book. Thank you all for watching today. I hope you found these tips helpful. If you like them, check out Catholic Match. Believe it or not, I used to blog for Catholic Match, and I have a whole a whole series of articles called The Pathway to Love. And I have a 3-part, 1-hour talk on YouTube. Really old now, not that great a quality, but it's one of our oldest videos, and it's called The Pathway to Love. It's a 1-hour talk on how to find true love. And it goes into these things so much deeper, and so many other tips as well that'll help you to find true love. So if you're interested, check out our playlist, our Love and Relationship, our Catholic Truth Family playlist, and the talk Pathway to Love. Or check out our mini articles at Catholic Match. You can just Google Catholic Match, Bryan Mercier. That's me. So thanks for watching today. If you like this video, please like it. And if you love this video, please subscribe to our channel for many more videos like this, and apologetics videos, spiritual videos, and all videos that'll help to form you as a person, spiritual, physical, emotional, complete person. And lastly, but not leastly, follow us on social media below if you haven't already. TikTok, The Catholic Truth, Instagram, Facebook, and all that. And if you would like to support our ministry and help us to reach so many more people in a dying world, please see our PayPal and Patreon below and consider supporting us monthly. Thank you so much, and God bless you.